Hey there, welcome to today's Tech Tuesdays webinar on simplifying REST API integration in IICS. I'm Brinda and I shall host today's webinar. The presenter for this session is Akshay Srinidhi Kirupa, who is a software engineer from Informatica Global Customer Support Team. She has got 3 years of experience with Informatica and has been working on IICS platform and REST API. Before we start this webinar, let's go through some housekeeping tips. This webinar will be for 1 hour. That includes a 45 minutes webcast. And then we'll move over to live for 15 minutes to answer your queries. You can post your questions in the Q&A box that you see on your screen. And we'll try and answer them throughout the webinar as well as the 15 minutes after that. All dial-in participants will be muted so that the presenter will be able to present without any kind of interruptions. The session is being recorded and will be available in the Informatica Support YouTube channel and the Success Portal. The link for this recording will also be sent to you. You can also post your feedbacks and suggestions for the upcoming topics for the Tech Tuesday webinars in the survey that follows. The Tech Tuesday webinars is a webinar series introduced within the Success Portal. The Informatica Success Portal is a microlearning platform that offers free and unlimited learning to all registered users. The Success Portal will show up your success offerings, your customer success manager information, bookings available in the Ask an Expert session, and also you will get customized recommendation and content. Here are a few important links that you can go over later that will help you in understanding Informatica products as well as that will help you in your product adoption journey. Over to you, Akshay. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. Hey everyone, I hope all of you are doing good. In this webinar, I will be presenting to you on how you can make use of IICS REST V2 connector to integrate with REST endpoints. The agenda in this session would be introduction, what is REST API, a deep dive into IICS REST V2 connector, REST V2 connection properties, the authorization types that are supported by REST V2 connection, Swagger file generation, REST V2 operations, demo. I'll be showing you a quick demo on how you can make use of REST V2 connector in IICS, Q&A session. Before we get into the details of IICS REST V2 connection, I'll brief you on what a REST API is. I hope many of you who are attending this session would already be aware of what a REST API is. API is basically something that lets one piece of software to talk to another piece of software. API, which stands for Application Program Interface, is a set of rules that enables different programs to communicate with one another. It outlines the appropriate way for a software developer to compose a program on a server that communicates with various client applications. One of the popular form of API is REST API. What is a REST API? REST stands for Representational State Transfer, meaning when a REST API is called, the server will transfer a representation of the requested resource state to the client. This representation of the state can be in JSON, XML, or HTML format. Most of the popular web service providers like Google, Twitter, Instagram, or any cloud-based web applications exposes its resources through REST API so that many other clients can integrate with them. REST API working. A RESTful web application exposes information about itself in the form of information about its resources. There could be n number of resources that can be exposed by the REST API. It also enables the client to take actions on those resources, such as create new resources, which can be creating a new user, or you can change the existing resource. For example, you can edit a post. To think of an example, you can consider a developer calling Instagram API to fetch a specific user information. The user here is considered as the resource. Now this API will return the state of that user, which includes various set of information like the name of the user, the number of posts that the user posted on Instagram so far, how many followers that the user has, and more such information depending on what all information the API chooses to expose. REST API methods. REST API breaks a transaction down to generate a sequence of small components. Every component addresses a specific fundamental aspect of the transaction. This kind of modularity makes it a flexible development approach. The four basic REST API methods which are widely used are get, put, post, and delete. Get is used to fetch data, put is used to alter the state of data, post is used to create data, and delete is used to delete data. IICS REST V2 connection. You can make use of REST V2 connector in IICS to interact with web service applications that support REST API. REST V2 connector can be used in source transformation, target transformation, or midstream in a web service transformation at the IICS mapping level. The methods which are supported by REST V2 connection are get, put, post, delete, options, head. You have the option to configure TLS authentication to establish either one-way or two-way secure communication with the REST API. To do this, you will have to configure JVM options for trust store or key store properties. This can also be done at the connection level. I'll be giving you more information on it in the upcoming slides. When you create a REST V2 connection, it is mandatory to specify the Swagger specification file. If your web service provides the Swagger specification file, you can use it directly while creating the connection, or else you also have the option to generate the Swagger in IICS using IICS Swagger utility. You would be wanting to configure the authentication method that is supported by the web service endpoint when you are creating the REST V2 connection. The REST V2 connector supports Swagger specification version 2.0. REST V2 connection properties. To create a REST V2 connection, you'll need to log into your IICS org, navigate to the administrator console, go to connections page, and select the type as REST V2. Here, you'll need to choose the runtime environment, which is basically the secure agent using which you want the REST V2 connection to be established. After this, you will have to select the authentication type that the endpoint, web service endpoint that you are looking to integrate with supports. Depending on the authentication type, the various configurations at the connection level would get changed. The properties that can be set at the REST V2 connection level are auth or OAuth configuration properties, Swagger file path, truststore or keystore properties, proxy configuration, and advanced fields section. I'll be showing you a little more detail on each of these configurations in the upcoming slides. You also have an option to specify advanced fields at the connection level. Here you can specify properties such as connection timeout, connection delay time, retry attempts, qualified schema. If your REST endpoint does not have a Swagger specification, you can generate the Swagger specification file from the administrator console. A successful REST V2 connector in IICS would look something like this. The connection name here indicates the name of the REST V2 connection. As you can see, the type here is REST V2. And under REST V2 connection properties, you will be selecting the secure agent using which you want the connection to be established. And then you will be selecting the authentication type that is supported by the Webservice endpoint. As I mentioned earlier, depending on the type of the authentication that you are selecting in this REST V2 connection property, the property that gets loaded for standard connection properties might vary. Authorization and the media types that are supported by REST V2 connection. The supported authentication types are standard, OAuth 2.0 client credentials, OAuth 2.0 authorization credentials, and JWT bearer token. Under standard, we again have three types, which is basic, digest, OAuth 1.0. And the media types which are supported by REST V2 connection are application XML, application JSON, application XWWW form URL encoded, JSON subtype, JSON custom type, extended JSON MIME type, text or XML. The other media types are not supported by the connector. Swagger file. As I mentioned earlier, when we are creating a REST V2 connector in IICS, it is mandatory to provide a Swagger file. If your web service endpoint provides the Swagger file, you can very well include the path of place the Swagger file provided by your endpoint in the secure agent server and provide the path of the Swagger file in the REST V2 connection. However, if the Swagger is not provided by the web service endpoint, then you can make use of IICS Swagger utility to create the Swagger file. Now, before we get into the details of Swagger file generation in IICS, let me tell you what a Swagger file is. A Swagger file is a specification for documenting REST API. It can be considered as a blueprint of the REST request and response. It specifies the format, which includes the URL, the method, the representation to describe the web services. A Swagger file is usually in JSON format. It can also be in YAML format, but in Informatica we support only JSON format file. It is mandatory to have Swagger file to configure IICS REST V2 connection to integrate with any REST API. Swagger file describes the HTTP method, parameters required, and the expected response fields for the API. You can think of it as something similar to WSDL file in SOAP-based web services. Swagger file generation. If you are looking to generate the Swagger file for the REST API in IICS, you can do so by logging into your IICS org and navigating to the administrator console, Swagger files. There you can hit on new. When you do this, a Swagger file generation page would appear. Here you can fill in the details according to the type of the REST call and other parameters that are required for the REST API call, which might include the API path, the authentication details, the header parameters, response JSON file, and once these details are filled in, you can click on OK. Typically, we have four operations in REST: get, put, post, or delete. An entry for the file will be created in the Swagger page, after which you can choose to download the Swagger file to a local directory in your secure agent machine. You can then provide the absolute path of this Swagger file that is placed in the agent server while creating the REST V2 connection in IICS. The recommended approach before you create a Swagger file would be to try out the REST API request in any REST client outside Informatica Cloud like Postman or Advanced REST client, so that you will have a clear picture of the REST API calls, the API path, how it would look like, the authentication details, the various parameters that needs to be passed in. So you will have a better picture of how these details look like by making the call outside IICS. Once that is done and you have it handy, you can go ahead and generate this Swagger file in IICS. This is how a successful Swagger file page would look like. Here you provide the name of the Swagger file and select the runtime environment which is to be used for the Swagger file generation. The URL would be broken into three parts and included in the properties URL, API base path, and API path. In verbs property, you select the type of or the method of REST API call that is to be made. You also specify the authentication type, and based on the authentication type that you are selecting, the other details such as username, password, token secret, consumer key, consumer secret, all these details are to be filled in. You also have the option to choose the accept, header, query parameter, operation ID, content type, and raw body. When you are creating the Swagger file, you also have an option to upload the response JSON file. REST V2 operations. You can create a mapping in the mapping designer to read or write data to the web service application that you are looking to integrate with. You can use REST V2 connection in mappings. DSS task doesn't support this REST V2 connection. You have the option to use IICS REST V2 connection as a source transformation, target transformation, or as a midstream. The most popular way of using it is by using it as a midstream transformation, as it provides more flexibility. You can use REST V2 connector to perform paging in source and midstream transformations. REST V2 connection as source. We use REST V2 connection as source when we have the input data ready and we are trying to make a call to the web service endpoint and you want to capture the response. You can create a source transformation, configure an XML request message for the operation that you are looking to perform in the web service application. This XML request message will be formed based on the information that you would be providing during Swagger generation. Use the request message editor to create a request message. You have an option where a template for the request message would be provided based on the information present in Swagger file. So you can copy paste that to the request message editor, and you can add in the value. You can customize the request as per your requirement. Once this is done, you select the elements in the response structure that you want to include as output fields. The secure agent here would be converting the XML response in the hierarchy structure to relational groups at runtime so that you can write the response to any relational target, say any DB, or you can also write it to a flat file target. This would basically involve a H to R transformation where hierarchical data would be passed to relational format. One sample use case would be to make a GET call to the web service endpoint and return the response of the user details that are returned by the web service. REST V2 as midstream. This is one of the most popular usage of REST V2 connector, as you have the flexibility to customize the request that you would be giving in. It can come from multiple sources, as REST V2 is used as midstream here. And you also have the option to write the data in the response to any target connection. When we use REST V2 connector as midstream in a mapping, you will first need to create a business service for the operation that you want to perform in the web service application. To create a business service, you can go to Data Integration Console, click on New, and under Components, you can select Business Service. Once the business service is created, by selecting the REST V2 connection that you had previously created and selecting the operation type, you can associate the business service in a web service transformation midstream in Mapping Designer. Based on this, you can read from or write data to the web service application. An example use case here would be to use REST V2 in midstream when you want to make a GET POST PUT request to the web service endpoint. REST V2 as target. You can use REST V2 connection as target transformation in the Mapping Designer to write data to a web service application. When you use REST V2 connector as a target transformation, you will be selecting the operation in the target. Based on the information provided in the Swagger, the values for the request and response fields would be populated. You can then add multiple input groups into the REST target and define primary and foreign key relationships between the multiple input groups before the mapping. A sample use case here would be to make a update call to update the details of the user resource. One thing to note here is that when we are using REST V2 as target, you do not have the option to capture the response. REST V2 pagination. REST V2 connector supports paging for passing the response from the web service endpoint in IICS. If the web service endpoint supports pagination properties, then you can configure the paging properties in the mapping level. You need to specify page under paging type property present under advanced properties of the REST V2 connection. Once you set this paging type property to page. It enables paging support for the REST v2 connector and considers the values that you set for page parameter, start page, end page, and end of response expression properties. The page parameter that you specify here is the page parameter variable that is configured by the web service endpoint. It can be something like offset, end, and such values. Start page would be the page from which the pagination should start. You can hardcode the end page limit, or you also have the option to configure the end of response expression based on which the pagination should stop. Please note the page increment factor value that you provide here should be the number of records that are returned per API request. Say for example, if the get call that you are configuring returns 10 records in the response when making the request, then you configure page increment factor value as 10. Now let me show you a demo on how you can make use of REST v2 connector in IICS. As I mentioned earlier, it is always a good practice to make the REST API call outside IICS using any REST client like Postman or advanced REST client before you get started with the process of generating a Swagger file. So I'm making use of IICS login API here. The accept and content type set here are application JSON, and I'm passing the authentication details in the body section. And this is a post call. Once you hit on send and ensure that you have got a status 200 OK, you can proceed with the Swagger file generation. Now let us create a Swagger file for the login API call. Log into your IICS org and navigate to the administrator console. Here click on Swagger files and click new. Provide a name for the Swagger file that you're gonna create. And choose the secure agent which should be used for this Swagger file generation. As you can see, this is the login API call that was made outside IICS. Now to populate the URL, please copy the API request URL and paste it in a notepad. Now you will need to break down this URL into 3 parts. The first part would be till the host name, and the rest other part of the URL can be broken down in 2 parts. The value containing the host name will be provided as the value for the URL property. Now the second part of the URL needs to be provided in the API base path. And the last part would go under API path. Verb here represents the method that we are gonna make in this REST API call. Since it is a post call, I am setting it to post. The authentication type for this particular call is none. However, please note that the supported authentication types for Swagger file generation are basic, digest, and OAuth. If you're selecting the authentication type as basic or digest, You will need to populate the value for username and password during Swagger file generation. If the authentication type that is used by the web service is OAuth, then you need to provide the details for token, token security, consumer key, and consumer secret during Swagger file generation. As you can see from the REST request, we can see that the accept and content type are set to application JSON. Similarly, I'm providing the value for these two properties as application JSON in Swagger file generation. Since this call doesn't have any headers or query parameters that are explicitly set, I'm not providing any value for these. The operation ID is a unique identifier. The value which you give in the operation ID section would be should be selected while creating the business service or when you are using the REST connection as a source or target transformation. In the raw body section, you can copy the contents that was sent under body and paste it here. The field which you see here, JSON response file, is not a mandatory field. When we upload the response file in JSON format, an actual call will not be made to the web service endpoint. Instead, it would be looking at the response file that got uploaded to know the structure of the response. If we do not provide the value for the JSON response file, then it would be making a call to the web service to get to know the response structure during Swagger file generation. Now that the details for the Swagger file generation are populated, click on Save. As you can see, the Swagger file is now saved successfully. After it gets saved, click on Swagger files again. Now you can choose to download the Swagger file that we had created by clicking on this download icon. Now let us place this login.json file in the secure agent server so that the absolute path for the Swagger file can be provided while we are creating the REST V2 connection. Now let us move on to the creation of REST V2 connector. To create a REST V2 connector, click on Connections and New Connection. Provide a name for the REST V2 connector that you are creating. Under Type, set the connection to REST V2. I'm here selecting the secure agent which should be used for this REST V2 connector. Depending the authentication types that are supported are standard OAuth 2.0 client credentials, OAuth 2.0 authorization code, and JWT bearer token. Depending on which authentication type that you are selecting here, the properties, the connection properties that needs to be populated would vary. As you can see here, for standard, it requires auth user ID, auth consumer key, depending on which type of standard authentication type is used. If it is OAuth client credentials, then the properties like access token parameters needs to be populated. For JWT bearer token, it would be an entirely different set of connection properties that needs to be populated. To know the value for each of these connection property, please refer the REST V2 connector guide. Now the IICS login call would be making use of standard authentication type, Under standard authentication type, the authentication can either be none, basic, digest, or OAuth. Here I am setting it to none. All you have to do here is provide the absolute path of the Swagger file in the connections. The connection property Swagger file path. Derive Swagger login.json. The trust store and key store properties can be set at the connection level, or it can also be configured at the agent level under JVM options. The proxy type property is used to specify whether the connection should bypass proxy or which specific proxy it should be using. You have the option to set it as no proxy, which means it would be bypassing the proxy, or you have the option to set it to platform proxy, which means it would go through the proxy which is set at the agent level, or you also have the option to set a custom proxy for the REST V2 connection. If you are selecting custom proxy, then the proxy configuration needs to be provided here. Under the advanced fields section, you have the option to configure other advanced properties that can be used for making the REST V2 call, such as connection timeout, connection delay time, retry attempts. For more information on these properties, please refer the Informatica Connector Guide. Once these details are populated, you can test the connection. The test connection has succeeded, so let me save the connection now. Now the connection has been saved successfully. Let's move on to the creation of mapping, in which we will be making use of this REST V2 connector that we had created. To create a mapping, please navigate to the Data Integration console. Click on New, Mappings, and Mapping. So here we are looking to make use of REST V2 connector as source. Select the REST V2 connector that we had created. Login underscore REST V2. Now under operation, click on select. The operation listed here would be based on the operation ID value that we had provided in the Swagger. Here under advanced section, you have the option to configure the pagination parameters which we discussed earlier. Now under field mapping section, you can choose to map which all fields needs to be present. So here the transformation which would be performed would be hierarchy to relational. The hierarchical data would be passed into relational format. Now under query options, select configure. Here we'll be seeing a template of the request message. In the request message editor, you can copy paste the template and provide the values for the request message. field mapping is done. These are the fields which would be loaded in the response, and the structure of this fields would have got from the Swagger file that we had defined in connection. Now I'm mapping it to the target. Let me create a flat file target at runtime to capture the response. I have now saved the mapping successfully. Now let us deploy this mapping to an MCT and run the MCT. Now let us run the mapping configuration task. Go to monitor section. The MCT is now in running state. Now the mapping configuration task has been completed successfully. Now let us look at the target response file that got created. As you can see, the REST API request has been processed successfully and it has loaded the response fields in the target. Let me also quickly brief you through the process of making use of REST V2 connector as a midstream. For this purpose, let us look into the example of making a GET call to fetch the activity log entries from IICS REST API. This is how the Swagger would look like. It is similar to the Swagger that we had created earlier, except that a few of the header and query parameters might vary. This is the REST V2 connection that I have created based on the activity.json Swagger that we had created. Now, to make use of REST V2 connection as a midstream, first you'll need to create a business service and select the REST V2 connection that we had created. To create a business service, you can go to New, Components, and Business Service. Here, if you look at the operations configure option, you would be able to see the request and the response fields. This would be based on the Swagger that we had provided for the REST V2 connection. Now, at the mapping level, you can make use of web service transformation and call the business service that we had created in the web service transformation. This is how the configuration of pagination parameters would look like. Now we are using REST V2 as a midstream here, which means the input for this REST V2 can come from n number of sources. Here I'm passing the values for the request in a flat file source object. In request mapping, it would be a relational to hierarchy transformation level mapping, and the response mapping would be hierarchy to relational format. You can then choose to map the output groups to the target transformation. Similarly, REST V2 can also be used in the target transformation. I hope the demo was useful and it gave you an understanding of using REST V2 connector in IICS. REST V2 debugging options. Say for some reason you are not able to get the response in the expected format. In such cases, you might need to look into the request which was made by the connector and compare it with the request made outside Informatica Cloud to get to know where it is going wrong. To do this, you can configure log level debug property at the agent level. Once this property is enabled, it would capture the REST request and the response in the session log of the task. Please note it is advised to enable this property only for troubleshooting purpose as the log size generated would be more. Once the troubleshooting is done, you can revert the flag. A few other best practices that can be considered while using REST V2 connector are you have an option to configure the cache size for web service request and response. If you want to process special characters, then you might need to set infa code page name property to UTF-8 at the agent level. We do not have an option to configure the code page at the connection level. It is always recommended to try out the REST API request or response outside IICS before getting started with the integration in IICS. For more information on the supported objects, please have a check on the REST V2 connector guide. You can have a check on the REST V2 connector guide for detailed information on how you can make use of REST V2 as source, target or midstream, and also the connection level properties that might vary depending on the authentication type that you will be using. You can also look into Informatica Knowledge Base portal. Q&A.
Hey everyone, please put in your queries in the Q&A box and we'll try and answer them for you.
Yeah, so I can see there is one question which is related to the header field in Swagger generator tool has a character limitation in the API request header. So yeah, that's right. We do have a limitation right now where the Swagger file generator has a header and query parameter limit for 255 characters, and it is being tracked with CCON 13931. We are planning it for the future releases, but as of now, there is a workaround for it in which you can generate a Swagger with sample response and then manually edit the Swagger with the header.
To answer the question on generating multiple operations while generating the Swagger file, for each of the requests that you'll be making, there needs to be a separate Swagger that needs to be generated. So in IICS Swagger utility, you won't be able to provide multiple operations. But however, if your web service endpoint provides you a Swagger that supports multiple operations, then you can use it at the connection level.
And then we have one more question. Can we update resource password through API? So if you're talking about IICS credentials, IICS user, we do have a REST API call to change password. You can refer our IICS REST API reference guidance for that. Then there is one question, can you show the demo to generate multiple operations in Swagger file? So you can generate multiple operations on a Swagger file using business services, and you can use that business service in the web service transformation as a midstream. But in a mapping, you can use only one operation at a time using that business service.
To answer the question on whether we can use database as a target and REST V2 connector as a midstream, yeah, you can do this. As mentioned in the session, so for using REST V2 connector as a midstream, you will first need to create the REST V2 connection and then create a business service based on the REST V2 connection.
To answer the question, is it mandatory to create a Swagger from IICS, or can we upload Swaggers given by API providers? You can upload the Swaggers given by API providers as well, as long as it is a valid Swagger file. But though we recommend generating the Swagger. To answer the question, does Informatica support to connect to ServiceNow? We do support connect to ServiceNow, and we have a native connector for it. To answer the question, what is the use of URL override in web service transformation? Can we change the API URL? Yeah, that's right. Many a times we see a scenario where development have a dev URL, and in the production while moving, you will have a prod URL, and you don't want to generate everything with the prod. You don't want to generate the Swagger in the prod again and then deploy it in the mapping. So you can update that prod URL in that override URL.
To answer the question on for some API calls, access token needs to be fetched first before getting data from the endpoint. For this, 2 REST V2 calls are required. Can it be done in one call itself instead of creating 2 mappings to do so? So if you are looking to pass the access token which is got from the first call, in a single mapping itself, you can include both these REST V2 operation. So you can use REST V2 as a source, and the output, which would be the access token out of the source transformation, can be passed to REST V2 calls, which would be used as a midstream.
To answer the question, what a CAI, will you have a session for CAI REST API? So CAI is Cloud Application Integration, which deals with the real-time integration in Informatica, and you can use the REST APIs for CAI as well. So whenever a job is created in CAI, it will be exposed over an API call, and you can use those API calls in data integration, and you can connect it with REST V2 connector, and you can trigger it. To answer the question, do we need to mention IC session ID in Swagger file? So IC session ID is the session ID which is generated via a login call when you are doing with Informatica. It is as a post response, so you need not to provide it in the Swagger file.
To answer the question on end page configuration, so this can happen when the response expression is not rightly configured. So what you can do is you can enable log level debug at the agent level and look at the response which you are getting from the API to configure the response expression rightly.
So there is one question for when REST V2 call is failing for some reasons, the mapping task is not failing and always shows successful. How to fail the mapping task? That depends upon the response what we are getting from the API. And so for any of such scenarios, we need to check it in the session log. If in the session log we are seeing any response which is not considered as a fatal error, then the mapping will run fine. And to then accordingly you can take the decision that the mapping is success. We decide the mapping is success or failure on the basis of response codes. And then there is one question, can we parameterize the API path in Swagger file? Yes, you can parameterize the API path in Swagger file. That comes under dynamic URL. You can refer the KB article with, you can search for the KB article in Informatica with dynamic URL generation. You should be able to find it. Let me share that. I am sharing that KB article in the chat as well to you. Or I'll share it with everyone. I can see there is one question in which while creating a new connection, you're getting an error code of 403. So 403 means forbidden. So you need to check that whether are you able to access that endpoint from that machine where secure agent is installed, because we send all the requests from the machine where secure agent is installed. Then there is one question, there are use cases being discussed where you want the two REST API calls with OAuth authentication. The first REST API is to get bearer token, which should expire after 3 minutes. And this bearer token is input for a second REST API, which would give response with some data. So in that scenario, you have to first develop a mapping, which will provide which will generate the OAuth token, and then you can get the response of that bearer token. You can get that bearer token as a response in the target for the first mapping, and then you can use the target as a source for the second mapping to pass in as a to pass the bearer token in your API call, and then you can run that setup as a task flow.
I see a question on text or HTML response type. Currently, text or HTML is not a supported media type. You can refer the REST V2 connector guide to get to know the supported media types to process data.
Yeah, there is one question from Gunashekar. Can we answer that question, Kirupa?
Yes. That is, how can I place Swagger file when I'm using Informatica hosted agent? So as of now, hosted agent is used for it is basically used for SaaS application to SaaS application integrations, where it could be like Salesforce to Workday, like most of the such scenarios. If you need anything like which would need placing a file in the local system, like data, like internal connectivity with the databases or a file system, or could be the REST V2 connection, then you need to have a secure agent on-prem, like your own. You need to manage the secure agent by yourself.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Kranti. Do you have a documentation or blog on chaining the APIs?
So chaining the APIs, chaining the APIs, I would understand it as calling multiple APIs in the same mapping. So it would be we don't have anything documented like that, but it should be the same behavior as I have discussed before. You need to generate a mapping, and you need to provide that. Let's say getting the activity log from Informatica. So first call should be logged into that Informatica, in which you get the IC session ID and the base API URL. That will be the first API call, and then second API call will be passing the base API URL and IC session ID to get the activity log. So these all things can be done in in one API. Either it can be done in two mapping tasks and then it as a part of a task flow. So we don't have anything is documented, but it is just like individual API calls what you are making.
Okay, thank you. I think we have crossed the time limit of this webinar. We have few more questions to address to. We'll definitely get back to you after this session. Kirupa and Shubham can ensure that. Hope everyone is safe. Thank you for joining this webinar. Also, thank you for this great session, Kirupa. Thanks everyone.